Hello, everyone. I'm Debbie Hatch, the CEO and founder of Pinnacle Personnel Services. I help federal employees understand their benefits, everything from their retirement through their Social Security, their TSP, and their federal insurances. I wanted to come on today and talk to you a little bit about the Social Security Fairness Act, which was just signed by the president on the 5th of January. What is it? Does it apply to you? Should you be concerned about it? Should you be excited about it? What in the world is going on here? So let me first talk a little bit about Social Security as a topic. When you hear the word Social Security, what do you think of? What's the first thing that comes to your mind? What do you think it is? What Social Security actually is a social insurance program that was passed into law back in 1935. We were coming out of the Great Depression at that time. Back then, there was nothing like the FDIC that insured people's money. Banks failed. Unemployment was astronomical, and people lost everything that they ever saved for their own retirement. The Social Security program passed into law was an insurance that would not happen to older people in our country again. So we actually call it the Old Age Survivor and Disability Insurance Program. That's one component. Social Security Administration has retirement, a disability, survivor program, and they also administer Medicare. I'm not going to talk about all parts of that today. I'm only going to talk about the retirement piece because that's the only piece that is going to be impacted by the Social Security Fairness Act that was just signed. If you work for another employer, very likely you are paying into Social Security. Not everyone does, though. Some teachers don't. Some state workers don't. Some federal employees, those covered under the civil service retirement system, don't. In order for you to get Social Security, you have to be eligible for it. When we talk about the retirement piece of things, that requires two things from you. You have to be 62 years of age or older, and you have to have 40 credits or 40 quarters. That's eligibility for the retirement piece. Again, survivors and family members can qualify, and those rules are different, but I'm not going to talk a lot about those today. In fact, I'm not going to talk about them at all. I'm going to focus on that retirement piece of things, okay? The program since 1935 has certainly grown over time. In 2024, there were 68 million people receiving benefits from the Social Security Administration. That's all of the different programs that they have available. $1.5 trillion were paid out in total benefit payments for the year, and that's 2024. You can find that information for yourself right on the Social Security Administration's website at ssa.gov. It does show the number of retired workers, disabled workers, and both of their survivors and dependents that are receiving money, as well as general survivors. And by that, I mean widows, widowers, family members that are eligible for something because a person has passed away. It is a major source of income for many people over the age of 65 in our country. In fact, Social Security says that almost 9 out of every 10 people who are 65 or older are receiving some type of Social Security benefit. Social Security benefits represent about 30% of income for people over the age of 65. But not everyone is getting a benefit. Again, remember, you've got to have your 40 credits to qualify, and not everyone who has their 40 credits has been able to receive their entire Social Security retirement amount, because back in 1983, there were 2 pieces of legislation passed that penalized people. One of those is called the Windfall Elimination Provision, or WEP. The other is called the Government Pension Offset, or GPO. And what the Social Security Amendments Act, HR 83, has done is eliminate WEP and GPO. So let's take one step back. When I say I have to have 40 credits to be eligible to receive a benefit, what am I talking about and how do I get credits? When I am working under FERS or in a private sector job, or most of the time for anyone else, I'm paying a tax. It's coming out of each of my paychecks. That tax is OASDI, again, Old Age Survivor and Disability Insurance. The tax is 6.2% of each of my paychecks up to a certain amount of earnings, and the earnings change annually. For 2025, the maximum tax cap, for Social Security is $176,100. Now, here's what that means. If I'm working, 6.2% of my paycheck is being taken away in the form of this payroll tax up to a total earnings of $176,100. If I make more than that amount, once I hit that limit, my Social Security tax ends for the rest of this calendar year, and I would start paying it again come January. If I work for myself, which I do, then I have to pay the 6.2% employee portion, and I pay a 6.2% employer portion. If you're working for someone else, you're only doing the employee piece, and your employer is paying the employer part for you. Now, if I'm working in a job and I'm paying this Social Security tax, then I am earning credits, or you hear a lot of people call them quarters, which is fine. I prefer credits. It's less confusing. A credit or a quarter is an amount of money. It's not an amount of time. And just like the tax cap changes each year, the amount of money that I have to earn to get a credit changes each year. For 2025, I have to earn $1,810 in pay to get one Social Security credit. 1810 gets me one. I can only earn 4 of these credits in a year, no matter how much money I make, and I need 40 of them. Plus, I need to be 62 or older before I'm eligible to begin collecting anything out of Social Security's retirement program. You can start drawing as young as 62, as long as you have your 40 credits. But if you collect Social Security's retirement program under what's called your full retirement age, then you're going to have a penalty. The penalty is about, I'm doing some rounding, 0.520 per month for every month that you're drawing early. Not going to get into all of that right now. Just want you to be aware that if you collect early, that penalty does last for the rest of your life. Now you can see the chart here, what constitutes your full retirement age. If you were born 1960 or later, that is age 67. If you wait until you're 67, you don't have a penalty. You draw 100% of your benefit. If you draw earlier than age 67, the penalty is permanent for the rest of your life. Once I become eligible, the computation is derived from Social Security looking at the amount of taxed earnings I've reported over my working career. They index those to current day values. They pull out the highest 35, add them together, and divide by 420. So that average indexed monthly earnings comes from looking at those highest 35 years of paying in. It's divided by 420 because it is a monthly average, and there are 420 months in a 35-year period of time. Once this AIM is calculated, Social Security plugs it into 3 lines of formula. The formula changes a little bit each year. For 2025, after they've created my AIM, They give me 90% of the first $1,226 and 32% of the next $6,165 and 15% for everything over the top of those first two numbers. They add it together. Social Security calls it my primary insurance amount. So again, right? Old age, survivor, and disability insurance. Now our primary insurance amount. You don't have to do this for yourself. It's been done for you. If you look at your Social Security statement at ssa.gov, you create a My Social Security account or you log into the one that you have, this bar graph comes up and it shows you your estimated benefit from age 62 all the way through age 70. And this is if you wait until a specific age to start collecting what your estimated benefit is going to be. Full retirement age, again, 1960 or later is 67. That's when you get the 100% benefit. If you draw early as age 62, there is a penalty applied. And here you can see how much that is. If you wait, you don't collect at 67. Each year that you delay enrollment in Social Security's retirement program, the benefits increase by 8%, up to a maximum of age 70. So you see the enhancement as well. And you can see all those numbers from 62 to 70. If you're already 62, your Social Security statement starts at your current age. Now, this assumes that you have been working in a job and paying into Social Security over your entire career. It also assumes that you keep working until this specific age, okay? So that's how they calculated your numbers to go, okay, you're only 40 right now, but we're gonna assume that you keep working until you're 62 and that you keep making what you're making right now. We do that math problem for you. Now, the problem is, again, that some people don't pay into Social Security, right? Some teachers, some state workers, some people who work for the federal government don't pay into Social Security while they're working in these jobs, but they worked somewhere else previously, or they're working somewhere else now, or they get another job after they leave this job that isn't contributing to Social Security, and they start paying in. If these people get their 40 credits, then like everyone else, they will be eligible to draw from Social Security's retirement program. But that windfall elimination provision and government pension offset means they can't get all of their benefit because they did work in the job that wasn't contributing the entire time. What the windfall elimination provision does is change only the top line of that 3-line formula. Remember, it was 90% and then 32% and then 15%. It's only going to change the 90% line. If I've been working in a job that didn't pay into Social Security, my top line might be as little as 40%. It depends on how many years of substantial earnings I had. Now, that's not credits. That is a specific amount of money. And each year I can look at the Social Security Administration's website and it will tell me how much I had to earn in order to check that box for the year to count as one of substantial earnings. If I had 20 or less years of substantial earnings, that's when I would have the 40% on line number 1 instead of 90. But it goes up from there. So each year that I added a year of substantial earnings, I got a higher percentage on line number 1. If I got 30 years of substantial earnings, then, like everyone else, the top line of my formula would be 90%. So you can see definitely the impact here. On this particular slide, I'm showing what if somebody had 20 years of paying into Social Security versus somebody had 25 years versus somebody had 30 years. Because the second 32% and the third 15% stay constant, I'm only seeing the difference in the bottom part of these bars. That's when we're looking at that 40% versus 90%. So in the first case, it was 40%. That person's Social Security benefit then would equal $2,554.55, assuming that they had an average index monthly earnings, an AIM, that was $8,000. In the middle, I have a person who has 25 years of substantial earnings under Social Security. They now get to use 65% in the first line of computation. So the benefit for an $8,000 AIM becomes $2,861.05. If I've always worked in a job that paid into Social Security, or I have 30 years of substantial earnings, if I didn't, I get the 90%, and now that benefit becomes $3,167.55. WEP has been a very negative impact to people who did get their 40 credits but didn't have 30 years of substantial earnings paying in. Now, sometimes people want to know, right, does this apply to me? I taught a class yesterday, FERS employees, Federal Employees Retirement System, they are paying into Social Security, and a couple of people asked, does this apply to me? Are they taking away my Social Security? No. WEP has never applied to you, and it doesn't apply to you now, right? The fact that it's going away has no negative impact on you at all. The only people that are being impacted by the Social Security Fairness Act are those people who have previously not received their full 90% because they didn't have 30 years of substantial earnings. Those are the only people impacted. Now, in addition to WEP, we did have a penalty passed back in 1983 that is called the Government Pension Offset, or the GPO. What the GPO has done is impact someone's ability to draw on their spouse. So remember I said for retirement, I got to be at least 62 and I got to have my 40 credits. That's true. However, there has been a spousal benefit included as well. And so the spousal benefit says, if I worked and paid into Social Security, I get my benefit based upon my high 35 years of earnings, or I get half of my spouse's benefit based upon that person's high 35 years of earnings. The higher of the two, not both. When we have people who didn't contribute to Social Security, the GPO has taken away their ability to draw on a spouse's record. So let's say that I am a CSRS employee with the federal government. I'm not paying into Social Security, but I'm married to someone who is. That person gets their benefit. And once they get their benefit, as long as I am 62 or older myself, I could get half of their benefit. Me personally, I'm a FERS person. That CSRS person can't ever get any of their spouse's benefit, because we first have to offset their spousal benefit by 2/3 of their government pension. Okay, I've got an example here. If the average spousal benefit for 2024 Social Security is $911 a month, which it is, and according to the Office of Personnel Management, the average CSRS retirement in 2024 is $5,447 a month. I'm married to somebody who paid in. I'm a CSRS worker. Before I can get that spousal benefit, they subtract 2/3 of my government pension. 2/3 of this average pension is $3,631.33. And when I subtract that from $911, I get zero. Okay, so think about this for a moment. If I stayed home, there is no judgment, by the way. I'm not saying this is a negative thing in any way. But if I stayed home, if I did not work outside of the home, I took care of the family, I took care of the house and all of that kind of stuff. I didn't work outside the home, I didn't pay in, but I'm married to somebody who did, then I'm eligible for half of that person's Social Security retirement once they start drawing. But if I did work outside of the home as a teacher or a CSRS person, and I'm married to somebody who paid in even though I didn't, I cannot draw any of that person's Social Security. That's why we call it the Fairness Act, because people in the past have been treated unfairly and not had the same rights as other people to draw from the benefit. The Social Security Fairness Act has done away with WEP, and it has done away with the GPO. Now, does this apply to you if you're a FERS person? No. Does this apply to you if you have been paying into Social Security your entire career? No. It applies to people who didn't pay into Social Security. That's it. Now, it was signed into law. This bill, let's start there, right? The bill has been proposed year after year after year after year. This is the first time it's passed. But HR 82, and I'm sorry, I used the wrong number earlier, 88, because I was thinking about another thing. HR 82 was actually introduced in 2023. It didn't pass the House and the Senate and get signed by the president until 2024. So I have put a link here where you can go and read it for yourself if you're interested in doing that. I also took a picture of the Social Security Administration's website, which says, we got it. We know the law changed. We're working on it. It's going to take a minute. The change is going to be retroactive to Social Security payments effective December of 2023. Again, because that bill was proposed in 23, even though it didn't pass, didn't get signed until 2025. I hope that clarifies a little bit for you exactly what the Social Security Fairness Act is all about, who's impacted, who's not impacted. If it didn't clarify it for you, maybe it even made it more confusing. I don't know. I hope not, but maybe. Please feel free to reach out to me and ask clarifying questions. You can do that right in the comments section below the video. You can always send me an email as well by going to my website, pinnaclepersonnelservices.com. Click on the tab that says Contact Me. It will open an email form for you. Let me know that you watched the video and let me know what your questions are. Please, I'm happy to answer. Again, in the comments might be best, and other people can see that answer. If you want something sent personally to you, go ahead and send me an email. Thank you so much for watching.